do the Illusion first. Here we go. Let's start with this bad boy here. All right, the KT for Ketuo Illusion M390. And here we are. Here is the knife. And we have your standard pouch here, zipper pouch, nice and cushion. And a cleaning cloth right there, all right, from KetuoUSA.com. I didn't say ketchup, I said KetuoUSA.com. All right, let's see here, let's see. All right, smoothed out of the way here, make sure we have a good focus. Here we go. All right, now we're talking. Let's check this thing out. If you guys are ready, I'm ready. Here we go. Boom. Check it out. So this definitely feels like titanium on the handles. We have a front flipper going on here. Very, very interesting front flipper here. Crossbar lock right off the bat, making a really good impression. We have a very nice and long stretched back spacer. Kind of gives it a little bit of a integral vibe, even though it's not. Also works as the linear solution. And there's a little bit of an opening right here, a little triangle in between. Is this the one that was assigned by someone specifically? No, it doesn't really say the designer on here on this model. We have a little bit of a folder here, so we might be able to deploy it with the thumb and reverse flick. So I don't know, this is a wild design here, guys. First one in the channel, debut Ketuo here, first time debuting in the Miguel EDC channel. And it is a front flipper, so let's just go ahead and get this thing open, shall we? Here we go. Bam! Check that out. Holy smokes. This thing looks savage, right? This thing looks very, very futuristic. Let me just get a good wipe. All right, let's just give it a good little wipe here so you guys can see the beauty, all right, of this thing. There we go. Let's see here. Wow, check out the finish on this blade. So we have a dual ground going on here. One of them is a recurve going on in this first portion, and then what seems or looks like a flat grind towards the front. The shape or geometry I guess we're working with is probably more like a tanto profile, a little bit of a drop point-ish, you know, sort of spine to it. Get the blade police out here to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what we're dealing with here. Very interesting, unique shape, right? Something different that, you know, you don't just have your run-of-the-mill knife that you see all the time with the same lines, same everything. I love companies that do things differently, and that is certainly what we have here. We have a very beautiful, gorgeous, sexy-looking fuller right there. Check that thing out. Wow, that thing looks really good, especially when the light hits it, right? We have somewhat of a stone wash mirror polish going on the blade that just looks so good, right? Yeah, I can see a little bit of my reflection right there. You guys can see me also, right? Check that out. That's probably my best angle right there. Miguel EDC face reveal 2024. Just kidding. All right, so frame lock. Check out the drop action on this thing. Holy smokes. All right, I gotta tell you, that front flipper is money. Right, ball bearings are very, very good. The detail on this thing has to be tuned very, very well because that action is just savage, right? Savage front flipper action going on here. Feels really, really good. We have a stainless steel lock bar insert here. All right, check out the, I gotta tell you, man, like this thing looks so different than everything that I've seen up until this point. The scales are nice and milled on the inside, and it doesn't feel like a heavy knife at all, right, if I'm being honest. So let's get a feel for, let's see, can we thumb deploy it? Let's try it. All right, I'm trying to avoid putting unnecessary pressure on the lock bar, but yes, you sure can, right? There's just enough relief here on the fuller that allows you to kind of sink your thumb in there, and whenever you're not, if I put my fingers on top of the pocket clip, that might help. And there we go, that is your thumb deployment right there. And can we reverse flick it? All right, have a little bit of patience. I don't know, that might be that might be for the review video, because right now it is certainly, yeah, they're certainly challenging. I got to figure out exactly the good way, the best way to position my fingernail because right now I'm trying to put it in the fuller and just flip it that way, but it is not working. Of course, it's gonna be a little bit different than if you had a thumb stud, so there's always that going on there. But man, that front flipper is money. The drop shot action is spot on. Ergonomics on this thing, all right, let me get a feel for it. All right, you have a dual jimp, it looks like. A little bit of jimping here towards the back, a little bit more jimping on the way forward there. It's not bad at all, right? Very, very good. You have a finger choil going on here. That looks really good, so you can forward choke on that bad boy right there. That feels good also. Nice and comfortable. And we know a recurve blade is going to trap material very, very well too. So obviously it might be a little bit more challenging when you're sharpening it later, but it definitely traps the material very, very well. I tell you, man, that pocket clip feels really, really good. It is not reversible. I noticed that. So only on the right side. And you almost don't feel it in the hand. It is pretty much the pocket carry. About this much of the knife is going to be showing, if anything. So that is not bad right there. Take a look. We have the stress relief on the lock bar here on the outside. Typically, I would prefer for them to do it more on the inside. A lot of companies these days are doing the reverse, right? They're doing the lock bar knives with the stress relief cut on the inside, and aesthetically, it looks a little better that way. And check out the alignment on this thing, right? The alignment looks really good. Spot on right there. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, by the way, this is just a quick unboxing, first impressions video. This is not a review in any way, shape, or form. As you saw a second ago, I just took this knife out of the box. It is my first time experiencing this knife, so it would be unfair to you and the rest of the knife community if I just start reviewing the knife right out of the box. Obviously, I need time to be able to carry this knife, EDC it, and be able to compile my thoughts and feedback and come back to you with a comprehensive review. But man, oh man, I'm loving the action on this thing so far. That front flipper is money. Can you do the reach around? Oh, yes you can. In case you were wondering, yes, that reach around is money right there. There's just enough tension on that detent. Yeah, that detent is nice and snappy when it falls into place right there. Boom. Bam. All right, good stuff. Good stuff from Ketuo. This is the Illusion. Right off the bat, making a great impression. I love the fact that they didn't do too much billboarding. We have pretty much the blade steel going on this side and the model name on this other side. If it were up to me, they could probably do away with the model name as well, right? Maybe do away with that and maybe do a little bit of their logo in the pivot here, which is what a lot of companies do. For example, here is Divo Knives, right? That's exactly what they do, right? Something nice and beautiful like that. But again, I'm just, some quick observations, if anything, right? Just kind of getting a feel for it here. Let's, of course, do some quick size comparisons on this bad boy. I gotta tell you, it is a large knife. So it's not in the medium category. This is certainly the large, can't even speak today, the large category. And so let's do the typical knives here that we do size comparisons with. There's the PM2 and the Para 3, and this guy is coming in about maybe a 1/4 inch. Honestly, wait a second, it might be, yeah, honestly it's right there on par with the Paramilitary 2, right? To be honest, obviously it's going to be bigger than the Para 3. You guys be the judge. Here's the Demko AD 20.5 with the titanium scales here, more on the medium size, medium to large, and the Shark Cub is on the medium to small size of things. The Shark Cub has the slicer blade. The AD 20.5 has the shark's foot blade. All right, take a look there for yourself. All right, what about the Rat Model 1, right? For the longest time, one of the largest knives here in the channel. And honestly, right, I see a little bit of a longer distance here towards the back if I align the tips next to each other. So that tells me it's probably like a 1/4 inch longer probably than the Illusion there. Of course, the Rat Model 2 is going to be much shorter, right there. Last but not least, let's do the very popular CJRB Pyrite with the Warncliffe blade, and here is the Vosteed Raccoon here with the drop point crossbar lock. And yes, the Illusion, of course, is going to be much bigger than those two. No doubt about that. Yeah, just a quick size comparison, you guys, to give you a ballpark idea where this guy lands as far as the overall size. All right, let's check the balance right here. Oh, it's going to be somewhere around here. Right there. There you go. That's your balance. Just a little bit past the middle of this access to the lock bar, which, by the way, you have really good access to the lock bar. The lock bar itself is not super stiff or anything like that. No jimping necessary. And so they did a really good job here. That is money. Boom. And that drop shot action is money as well. Let's check out how sharp this guy is. I got some review video notes on my chicken scratch handwriting here. So this is just some notebook paper. Let's see how it does. Yeah, that thing is a laser beam. Check that out. All right, laser beam going on. Let's get, yeah, that slice feels good. Let's see. Yeah, as long as you have a good initial bite, I know that could be said about pretty much any knife. I feel like it cut right there a little bit. Keep in mind, it's not brand new out of the box sharp, but it seems to be retaining a pretty good edge. All right, there we go. So we know it can do paper clearly, right? So still holding a pretty good edge. What about some cardboard? Well, we got your everyday cardboard, single wall cardboard, and we're about to do a cutting test. Remember, when cutting cardboard, don't cut perpendicular, but rather at an angle, and it will look something like this. Wow, okay, that felt pretty effortless. Yeah, what happened here is I think I hit the little tip right here. Or maybe it just cut completely. Let's try one more. Okay. There we go. Boom. I was just saying earlier that the recurve blade is going to help a lot with trapping material, and it sure does that without an issue. It does really, really good with that. The plunge grind is about right here, and you still have the edge about over here, right? Maybe they could have brought that back a little bit. But again, I'm just taking note of what I'm seeing here. First impressions on this thing are really, really good. I can't wait to EDC this thing. You know for a fact this thing is going in my pocket the second this video is over. All right, you guys go ahead and rate it in the comments from 1 through 10. How sharp is this guy? How much of an edge it has retained? Let me know in the comments. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the Illusion from Ketuo. Here is the Triad. Both are amazing models in their own way. I'm so excited to EDC these knives. Obviously, I'm going to be carrying them before I drop the review so I can gather as much feedback as I possibly can. Keep in mind, I will be trying to link these down below. I'm not sure if they are available as of the time of this video. And I'm not entirely sure on the price, so you'll have to check those links to check on the price. Otherwise, you can wait until I drop the review on these guys. But yes, I'll definitely link them down there. If you do end up purchasing a knife through those links, it helps out the channel at no extra cost to you. If you made it to the very end, you guys are the real MVPs. I really appreciate you all for all your love and support. Smash that like button if you haven't already, because it is absolutely free and it helps the channel a ton to grow and reach a larger audience. Go ahead and subscribe if you aren't already. So I promise you'll be worth coming back for more to check out more knife content like this on a daily basis. If you want to support the channel a step further, go ahead and check the Patreon link down below, or you can simply become a member right here on YouTube and you have access to exclusive perks. Thank you guys for checking out this video, hanging out with me until the very end. I love you all. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Peace.